Hi guys, so I've just finished A Boy Called Hope by Lara Williamson. I really enjoyed this book. It was slightly different to a few of the books I've read recently. It was essentially a book that focused around a young boy called Dan Hope, a boy who lived with his mother and his rather annoying teenage sister Grace. Now, Dan did have a father, but his father walked out on him 4 years ago. He walked out on him for another woman, a lady called Babs from the local chip shop. Now, the book really focuses on Dan's day-to-day struggles with the loss of his father in his life. He's desperate to stay in contact with his father. He's desperate to have that relationship with his father, but he doesn't quite know how. He constantly sends letters to his father, but no replies are given. And what actually emerges is his dad has become a presenter on the news. His dad has become someone who he actually sees on TV every single day. He knows where his dad lives, and he once, at one point in the book, turns up at the house, but doesn't quite have the courage or perhaps audacity to knock on the door and go in. But it follows his journey to meet his father again and have that relationship that he so desires. But it doesn't just do that. There's several other aspects of the book. There's the aspect of the book where Dan's mother is trying to rebuild her life. She's got what at first is a fledgling relationship with a chap called Big Dave, but it later emerges that the mum becomes pregnant and they're going to have a baby. Now, we see on paper a very good relationship between the mum and her new chap, Big Dave, and that's really lovely. But we also see the sort of strain and perhaps confusion and difficulties that might take place in trying to perhaps join two families as one. Big Dave has a son who is actually in school with Dan, a son called Christopher, who Dan actually gets on rather well with, and it was a bit of a surprise to both of them, but a pleasant surprise when they found out that their respective parents were together. The book's really good. It's written in a sort of first-hand account from Dan. It's very readable. The pages turn and turn and turn. And what I did find is there's, in amongst some very conversational text, there are some quite heavy-hitting descriptions. There's lots of good metaphors in this book. And I must admit, as someone that isn't like... I'm certainly not a crier, haven't cried for years, but reading some of the later parts of this book, I did find myself like... the hairs on my arms were standing up a little bit. There were parts of this book that were making me think, God, this is, that's, quite heavy-hitting stuff. It is a book I think Year 5 and 6 will get plenty from. I think in terms of, content, I would angle it to Upper Key Stage 2. I don't think there's too much wrong with sort of mature Year 4s reading it, but there are some family situations that might take a slightly elevated level of maturity to really appreciate. What I do think was lovely in this book is it did touch on situations that are very real nowadays. Lots of books do include the absent parent, absent father, absent mother, but this did it in a way that was essentially very real. I mean, I teach children, I'm aware of children who are in this situation where they've perhaps got a broken home, or they're in a situation where they are they're dealing with their mother or father remarrying. They're dealing with the adjustment of trying to sort of merge two families and having to, as I say, adjust to what a new step sibling might involve, etc. So it was really good. I enjoyed it. I know there's another book, not necessarily in the series, but another book by Lara Williamson, Just Call Me Spaghetti Hoop Boy, and one other which I haven't got at the moment, called The Boy Who Sailed the Ocean in an Armchair. So, as I say, they're quite light-hearted in tone, but they do contain some quite heavy-hitting messages, and it was a book I really, really enjoyed. I think now I'm going to move on to The Last Wild by Piers Torday. I've been recommended this book for ages. I don't know why I've only just got around to buying it, but it's on my bookshelf, and I think it is probably time to read this, because I've only heard positive things about it, and it's often been described as a must-read children's book. So I'm probably going to read that next, and will certainly give a review of that. But as always, thank you so much for listening. Please do give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and hit subscribe. Lovely to grow the channel. That was the review of A Boy Called Hope by Lara Williamson. Thank you.